Ladies and gentlemen, have you seen all the news? There's so much price increase in all the food and restaurant outlets. And you know what? One by one, many of these restaurants and stores and outlets are closing down. What's happening to Singapore? Let's watch on, shall we? So recently, you must have seen some of these headlines. More and more price increase are happening, and more stores cannot take it and actually have to close down. So the most recent eye-catching one was this toast box Kaya toast now costs $740, and that's an incredible increase, right? Many of these outlets just cannot tahan and they have to close down. So what is happening to Singapore is something that we should do some reflection. Let's go now root cause of it and see whether there's something that can be done to address this issue. And I believe so. So please watch to the end to see my recommendation. So for example, the Bukit Merah fish noodle store has an 82 years legacy. 82 years is a long time, you know. It definitely cuts across two generations. He has to close down because the rent increased from $2,000 to $6,000. $2,000 to $6,000 is 300%, okay? Three times. And that's something very serious, right? So I don't think the cost of living has increased by so much. And to have a rent increase of this magnitude is really ridiculous. So the owner of Zhongxing Fuchao Fish Ball and Lor Mee in Bukit Merah closed the store for good on August the 25th due to their old age and impending doubling of rent. Wang Shiying, I think the store owner, 68 years old, told the Chinese media outlet that the landlord of the coffee shop would increase the rent from more than $2,000 to more than $6,000 after renovation. You know, she just couldn't bear to increase the price. The people who supported us are all old people and regular customer. I don't want to rent the price. We are old. It's time to retire. I'm reluctant, but it's nothing I can do. Thank you very much for your support all these years. It is so sad, right? 68 years old, you can still work, okay, and have a very decent living, but they have to close it. We're going to all miss this store. A Michelin star sushi Kimura, I think it's in Orchard, to close down over rent and manpower issue. And, you know, while not every one of us can afford this, but this is another rent issue and manpower issue. So this one is a serious second case. So we have got both ends right now, the high-end restaurant and the hawker store all closing down over rent and manpower and operational cost issue. The chef owner, Mr. Tomo Kimura-san, who opened the restaurant at the end of 2016, and it earns its Michelin star in 2018. And high rent and manpower costs are the main reason for its closure. Besides high rent, the hiring of Japanese staff is becoming near impossible because of strict quota in hiring foreign laborers, blah, blah, blah. Local staff tend to command high salaries but quit when they found a better job elsewhere. You know, Singaporeans are really an issue for hiring for him. And certainly, you know, this caused him to close down, right? So the theme of rental came out almost everywhere. So another one, 73-year-old owner of Lucky Lucky Catering and Restaurant, which sells traditional Hokkien fare, will close its eatery on Moore Street for good on March the 23rd. This was already closed down. The ownership of the shophouse changed hands last November, and the new landlord raised the rent of the shop space to $10,000 a month. And again, right, same reason. We have many elderly regular customers, and they're very concerned about price of food. I don't want to raise the price, right? So over at Sago Street, there's another one. Madam Liu's bistro and bar closed and reverted to private kitchen mode after rent was increased by $5,000. Tai Hong Cake Shop, which has been selling Cantonese-style pastries for more than 70 years, shuttered last October. You see the common theme, right? Go down and down and down. Rental went up and up and up. And that's the main reason. Rental is one of the main reasons, not the only, but one of the main reasons. Headlines like this is coming out very common. Some store owners at Heartland Coffee Shop calls you over quit over high rent and cost. And apart from rental, you know, employee wages, ingredients, supply, utilities all gone up, blah, blah, blah. Coffee shops sold at tens of millions of dollars could have led to the high rent environment. Cooling measures that the government has implemented for property has driven some investors out of the private residential market space into commercial property space, including coffee shop. So this is something that we need to address and certainly can be addressed easily. right? Easily by the government. So I think the key issue that everybody recognizes right now is rental. One of the big reason, right? Okay. And not the only reason, one of big reason. And this is something that we certainly see as a common theme. So I hope by now we all recognize that property price increase has an impact on the rest of the economy. Property is one of the pillar of the economy that has multiple linkages with the rest of the economy. And if we think that property price increase only increase one area and has no impact on the rest of the economy, I think that must be something that we must be very juvenile about. So we really need to take a really serious look at this crazy property price inflation and its impact on the rest of the economy, because the impact is here right now. I know it's arguable that residential property is still affordable if you look at our income versus the price of the house and take a ratio of it. Well, I'm not going to argue about that. But I certainly can tell right now that property price increase have a strong spillover effect into all the other sectors, and we are witnessing it right now in a hard and painful way. Most of us who are homeowners, including myself, will not fight a property price increase, because that increase the wealth of ourselves, because we now can have a house that's worth a lot more. I've said before, this is a KKK asset. It is at best something, an asset, the wealth that we can pass on for next generation, because if you sell the house, where the hell are you going to stay, right? But what is more clear is that when the price of the property increase, we do experience a real cost of living increase. We see that in the stores that experience increased rentals. We see that in the increased rentals in the restaurants, the coffee shops, the retail space whatsoever. And that is something that hit us real hard in terms of price increase in the final goods. If not, these guys just cannot tahan, right? These store owners, many of them just refuse to increase price and say, I'm not going to be part of this price increase, right? But the next person who take over is going to increase the price, right? So I can attribute that really a property price increase has a substantial impact on the rest of the economy, and we are seeing right now. I said before that this will happen, and now we are seeing it really happening. Now, I might be one of a few person that make a lot of noise on this online. I don't see much people make a lot of noise on this. But the truth is, it doesn't impact me a lot. I don't stay a lot in Singapore, and therefore the cost of living doesn't impact me as much. I don't eat a lot in Singapore. I eat a lot overseas, and this kind of thing doesn't impact me a lot. I belong to the slightly higher income, as most people are. So this kind of thing doesn't impact me a lot. But you know who does it impact most? The people that are impacted the most are the people least able to afford it, unfortunately. We have choices, right? We can choose to live elsewhere. There are people like me who are very mobile globally. We can choose the different place we stay, and we can avoid some of this impact because the income are slightly higher. We won't feel as much. But the people that are on the lower end of the society, they will feel the impact the worst, and they can't avoid it. And this is something that can be addressed, and we should address it. There are many reasons why even in the commercial property space has increased, and we'll talk about it just now, because the cooling measures have hit the residential property very hard. And given that Singaporeans and many foreign investors are crazy over commercial property, they now slam their investments in the commercial property and drove the prices up. That's one. But simply speaking, the residential property prices has gone up. The land prices have gone up, and therefore the commercial land property will have gone up as well. It's the same land they're sitting on. So all these prices are increasing tremendously. But you know what? It can be easily addressed, but I think we need to forcefully address this issue, not with Mickey Mouse measure, but with more forceful measure, because this has impact to the rest of society. If we allow property prices to escalate in a way that we're seeing right now, forget about affordability, but the rest of the economy will certainly have an impact. We've seen it before. In fact, I remember back in university, I actually wrote a paper on this. My university thesis was based on this, that residential property price increase have a spillover effect on the rest of the economy. That was a theory then, but now I see my own eyes again and again and again after many years. So I think this one, I strongly encourage the government to look at this issue again and deal with this matter more forcefully and really check the uncontrolled price increase that we're experiencing right now. Let me have your comments, especially in the YouTube, and join us on our Telegram channel as well. Remember, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in a day or two. Bye-bye.